What happened?
And it is justice that ends.
Perfect is shaping up to be one of the most intriguing psychological dramas in recent conversation, drawing attention for its emotionally intense narrative and its exploration of obsession, ambition, and the fragile idea of perfection. From early discussions and production updates, the film positions itself as a character-driven story that dives deep into the pressures people place on themselves and others in pursuit of flawlessness. Rather than focusing purely on spectacle, the movie builds tension through human relationships, personal insecurity, and the slow unraveling of control. At the center of the story is a protagonist whose life appears structured, disciplined, and outwardly successful. Whether in a professional field driven by performance, creativity, or competition, this character has built an identity around being the best. The word perfect is not just a title, it becomes a psychological weight pressing down on every decision, every interaction, and every internal thought. The film examines how striving for perfection can initially appear admirable but gradually transform into isolation and emotional instability. The narrative begins by establishing a world where expectations are everything. The protagonist operates in an environment where mistakes are magnified and vulnerability is seen as weakness. Through subtle character moments and intense dialogue exchanges, the audience starts to sense cracks forming beneath the polished surface. Relationships feel strained. Small setbacks feel catastrophic. The film carefully builds tension without rushing into dramatic extremes, allowing the emotional descent to feel organic and believable. Supporting characters play a crucial role in shaping the protagonist's journey. There are figures who reinforce the obsession with success: mentors, rivals, authority figures, and others who challenge it, offering glimpses of balance and humanity. These contrasting influences create a layered emotional landscape. Some characters represent ambition at all costs, while others embody empathy and emotional grounding. The protagonist's response to these influences becomes a central driver of conflict. As the story progresses, the pressure intensifies. Expectations grow heavier, and the need to maintain control becomes overwhelming. Scenes are constructed to highlight the psychological toll of constant self-surveillance, checking, correcting, refining, and never feeling satisfied. What once seemed like dedication slowly reveals itself as fear of failure, fear of judgment, and fear of losing identity. This transformation is subtle but powerful, keeping the audience emotionally invested. Visually, the film is expected to reflect the protagonist's mental state. Early scenes are likely composed with symmetry and precision, mirroring the character's obsession with order. As the narrative unfolds, framing and lighting may shift, becoming more fragmented and shadowed. This gradual visual change reinforces the psychological unraveling happening beneath the surface. The atmosphere becomes increasingly tense. Even in moments where no overt conflict is present, the plot deepens when a critical turning point disrupts the illusion of control. Whether through a public failure, a betrayal, or an unexpected revelation, the protagonist is forced to confront the impossibility of true perfection. This event becomes the catalyst for internal confrontation. The carefully built identity begins to crack, exposing insecurity and unresolved emotional wounds. The film avoids melodrama by grounding this breakdown in realistic human behavior. One of the most compelling aspects of the story is its exploration of identity. The protagonist has defined themselves entirely through achievement. Without flawless performance, who are they? This question becomes central as relationships strain and isolation grows. The film invites viewers to consider how society often rewards perfection while ignoring the cost it extracts from individuals striving to maintain it. The emotional arc moves toward confrontation, not necessarily with an external villain, but with the self. Conversations become sharper. Silence becomes heavier. The protagonist must decide whether to continue chasing an unattainable standard or to accept imperfection as part of being human. This internal struggle provides the narrative's most powerful moments. As the audience witnesses vulnerability breaking through pride, music and sound design enhance this psychological journey. Early sequences may feature controlled, rhythmic compositions that mirror the character's disciplined life. As tension builds, the score likely becomes more dissonant and layered, echoing anxiety and emotional fragmentation. Silence is also used strategically, amplifying discomfort in key scenes and allowing subtle expressions to carry weight. Behind the scenes, updates about the production emphasize a focus on performance-driven storytelling. The actors are said to have immersed themselves deeply in their roles, exploring the emotional nuances of obsession and self-doubt. Preparation involved understanding not just external behaviors but the internal motivations driving them. This commitment to authenticity aims to that the protagonist's journey feels relatable rather than exaggerated. Audience anticipation centers on how the film balances intensity with relatability. Many viewers are drawn to stories that reflect real-world pressures. Academic, professional, social, and perfect appears positioned to resonate with those experiences. The theme of striving for excellence while losing emotional balance is universal, making the story accessible across different backgrounds and age groups. The climax builds around a decisive moment of choice. The protagonist faces a scenario where perfection would require personal sacrifice that feels morally or emotionally unsustainable. This confrontation forces clarity. For perhaps the first time, success and self-worth are separated. The emotional payoff lies not in achieving flawlessness, but in embracing vulnerability and accepting limits. Rather than offering a simplistic resolution, the film appears to conclude with a sense of growth rather than triumph. The idea of perfect is redefined. It becomes less about external validation and more about authenticity. The protagonist's journey suggests that strength lies not in never failing, but in learning from imperfection. This thematic resolution leaves the audience reflecting on their own definitions of success. Cinematically, the final scenes are expected to contrast sharply with the opening. Where there was once rigidity, there is openness. Where there was isolation, there may be reconnection. These visual and emotional shifts reinforce the narrative's central message. Perfection is an illusion that can imprison, while acceptance can liberate. Marketing conversations surrounding the film highlight its emotional intensity and thought-provoking themes. Promotional materials focus on the psychological tension and the central performance driving the story. Rather than emphasizing spectacle, the campaign underscores character depth and emotional realism, signaling that this is a film meant to be felt as much as watched. As anticipation continues to build, Perfect stands out as a drama that examines the cost of constant self-improvement in a world that often equates worth with achievement. Its story speaks to anyone who has ever felt the pressure to meet impossible standards. Through layered performances, careful pacing, and a focus on psychological authenticity, the film promises an experience that lingers beyond its runtime. Ultimately, Perfect is not just about ambition, it is about humanity. It asks what happens when the pursuit of excellence overshadows the need for connection and self-compassion. By guiding its protagonist through a journey of self-confrontation and emotional awakening, the movie offers a reminder that true growth comes not from flawlessness, but from understanding and accepting our imperfections.